Good morning, good morning. Tish Bite. Good morning, my people. Oh, good. It's not morning. Good evening. Good evening, my people. Welcome. Welcome to another session. Hopefully, you guys are doing good. Welcome, my people. We have a good session today, and I'm excited. I'm excited you guys to learn. Shiro Ocheng, Mambo. Hey, Anselm Lumumba. Tupo site. Davis Mwanthi. Hey, Tishbit. Where you guys watching me from? Mnaniona kutoka wapi? Welcome. Welcome everybody. Karibu. Kim Kahura, intro yako mkuu ya watu wangu ni aje? Oh, we're just welcoming people. I know I'm late, and I'm sure my people are going to be late. So bado ndio tunangoja quorum. We're waiting for a quorum, and then we can begin. The wins from UG. Welcome back. Welcome everybody. Shanza Gaius. Wait, that's a hard name. Shanza. Karibu, welcome. Martin Morito, watching from Mombasa. Kibor, mathematics guru. Good evening. Moi Ben. Godfrey. Welcome. Ashiro Cheng, Kenya Nyumbani. Finley Oyugi. From Hungary. Apparently there's a lot of Kenyans in Hungary, because I have quite a few of them have reached out to me. Kenyans in Hungary. Shanza, your traffic jam. Caleb Mutugi, good evening from Roysambu. Lumumba Drive. Welcome. Godfrey. Danny Kamau. Riru. That's a hard name for Ruiru is a hard name for Wazungus to pronounce. Riru. Welcome from Riru, Danny Kamau. Simon Okubi, Ongata Rongai, well represented. Man, give me some likes, guys. Alafu. We get the show rolling. We don't waste so much time. Get the show rolling. Invite my guy here. He's went to a big school, University of Kentucky. Looking forward to learn his journey, man. Learn his journey. How he got into such a University of Kentucky is a big research school, so I'm excited. He might not know this, but Kentucky, the U of K is very good. It's a very good basketball school. Abdi Samaj, Austin Juma from Qatar. Qatar, welcome, welcome, welcome. Umoja, Nairobi. And my game, Simon Dungu. Yeah. Poor. So yeah, we're not gonna waste too much time because I know some people content ya Hungary. Oh, you want me to talk about Hungary? So I have like these, whoever was from Hungary, Finley. Maybe Finley can come tell us how he got to go to Hungary. Finley, how did you end up in Hungary? Of all this countries in Europe, Hungary. Riyadh in the building. Riyadh. Tekla, welcome back. Kibor. Yeah, that was a great video. But yeah, that was awesome. But I'm looking. Wait. So Finley just said kuna scholarship iko Ministry of Education. Maybe Finley at the end, if you have time, you can jump in and let us know about the scholarship. But you had it there. Ministry of Education has a scholarship to Hungary. Wow, yeah. And the scholarship offers tuition, fees, and accommodation. That's that's awesome. That's awesome, Finley. Maybe you can come let us know at the end. Come let us know at the end. All right. So making sure that everything is working here, alafu, we get going. Yeah. I know there's people from Uganda, so please allow me to keep to mix it up English so that we can everybody can hear. This is a good session, man. So I came with school, so I'm always excited to hear about other people's experiences in coming to the US with the F1 visa. But also, I think you'll kind of understand. You've heard my story. I brought Kip told us his story about school and what they're asking for in the embassy, and I'm pretty sure Rotich will come tell you kind of like the same thing. Alafu, because what we do is get the common theme. What happens? What is it that they're asking? How is it? These people that are getting visas, how are they getting visas? Because some people go and they get denied. Some people go and they get denied. Okay. Abdi Majid, I saw your question. I will start and ask. We'll start and ask the question. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get this started. Yay! What's up, my people? Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Kenyan American Home, or TV, whichever you're watching me from. And today is a good session. Another good session that we get to learn about the student visa, F1 visa, and I have a young man here who has a story that I'm excited for you to be able to hear. To be able to hear his story, but also know his journey. But so we don't just talk about his visa journey. It's always good to know what is his backstory, so that because my channel is, I encourage people. We talk about immigration, talk about opportunities in the US, and once you land here, how you can be able to adjust to life in the US. So yeah, I'm excited because this guy went to a big school. University of Kentucky is not a small school. It's a big school. It's a big land grant school. So without much further ado, my friends, welcome none other than drum rolls, Rotich.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for
Welcome.
having me today, the Kenyan American.
Welcome, man. Welcome, Rotich. I'm excited today. because we're also going to be talking about something that people have been asking about, Empower financing, and I know you use that. So, who is Rotich? Who is Rotich?
Okay. Wow. Sijui hata nianze wapi. Oh, let me start from, my background and school and, how I ended up, coming to the US.
Mm-hmm.
So I was born and raised in Eldoret, Wasingishu County. So people from Eldoret, greetings.
Wait, what
Um,
does Wasingishu mean? It's like,
uh, I don't know, like
you don't know.
maybe somebody in the comment section can try to explain. Uh, yeah, I think it goes way back, but it's now a county, so it's Wasingishu County. But I grew up specifically, in the up country, not in town. So somebody who grew up in, the village. If you know of Kaptagat, those people know Kaptagat. It's
Kaptagat.
yeah, it's famous for athletics. People come to train because of the altitude and stuff.
Is it
So
Iten? Is Iten in close to
oh,
there?
Iten also is a good training place, I think, but that one is in Elgeyo Marakwet County, so
Oh,
it's different from Kaptagat.
okay. Someone says they went to Moigal's Eldoret. So
So that's in town, like just opposite where I used to work. I used to work in Diamond Towers, so I would just see my girls from the window.
ah, ah.
So I grew up, went to school, primary school, completed in 2010. I did my Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, or KCPE. And then after that, I got a school outside the county, so I had to like move out of the comfort zone, and I went to West Pokot County, a school called Ortum Secondary School. Not
Okay.
so popular, but it's in on your way to Kitale and then Kapenguri, and then you now go down the valley. Um, I mean, it was just, you see a lot of hills and mountains, and, you're away from, that was the first time I moved out of, my county.
I'm
Um,
with you.
yeah. Then did my high school for 4 years, until 2014. So I did my KCSE, or like high school, they call it high school diploma here, in 2014. And then, I got an A minus of 78 points. At that time, it was still competitive, getting into campus. So I wanted to do nursing, but I couldn't make it because of the cluster points. Like they were
Job,
so high.
job. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I ended up getting admission into JQuat. People from JQuat. Hi. So I went now to Nairobi. I did a bachelor's in procurement and contract management. So I'm a business person. So we were in the school of business, and I would say that was the last option that I had. I didn't think of business, so I just wanted to like do healthcare related stuff. But because of the points, I had to like go to business. But it was an amazing journey. 4 years. 2019, I graduated with a second class upper division. The class of 2015. Uh, Greetings to you. And then now the journey became, they usually say you need to be book smart and street smart. So I was book smart, but I was not ready for the market. I didn't know it's rough.
Wait,
uh,
before you go on, you say something that is very interesting. I think until you get out of Kenya and you come to countries like the US, it's
yeah.
very weird that we have JAB, the Joint Admission Board, that tells kids
Uh,
that you cannot take this because your points, which is, I think it's very convoluted. It's not because then you end up forcing people to do just dumping people in certain
Yeah.
degrees. And in the US, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. We don't. There's no joint admission board. It's pretty
Yeah.
much you went to high school, you got your high school diploma or degree or certificate, and then from that apply to the school. It's your statement of purpose. However, the essay you write, that is what determines whether you're going to get admitted to the school and the program. And also, there's also so many schools in the US, like 4,000 of them. And so you hear that, so because like you got an A minus,
Yeah.
and the fact that the only course you would get is procurement, and like nursing, you're not qualified for nursing. Yeah, it's
It's
so
crazy.
backwards. It's very backwards, very backwards, very backwards, very backwards. All right, so go on. So you're done with school, you
Yeah.
graduate. And
Yeah.
I know, like I was there. I probably did not stomach as much, but you finish university, and the expectation is, you're done with school, and then life, you get a good job, and life goes up from there. Was that the
Yeah.
case for you?
Of course, like every graduate, that's the expectation, but life has its own way and of telling you, this is how it's supposed to be done. So I finished, that was like in June 2019. And then I was looking for internship. So I remember I would print my CVs and work, office to office, looking for internship, not even a job, internship. And I
Internship.
couldn't find an internship. And I was like, this is crazy. Oh my God. I remember I walked to industrial area. I went to Kenya Pipeline. Sometimes you'll be returned at the gate, and they'll be like, send your CV via email. And then you'll be like, okay. Didn't give up. I gave myself like 1 month. I was like, I'm gonna try. It doesn't work. I'm going back to Eldoret. If everything goes bad, you usually go back home. So I was like, I was not chased away from home, so I just go back home and try to figure it out. So that was in July 2019. I didn't get anything, so I went back home, helped my parents with the, grazing. Nazanga kuchunga ng'ombe. And I was a graduate. I have my papers, just sitting there, and I'm like, life is so funny. There's some jokes people usually make, like the money used in schooling you should have started a business. I was started now it started to make sense to me at that point. And so I stayed home, July, and then in August, there's this politician. Unfortunately, that is how the systems work in Kenya. Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So I did that. They told me, they just made a phone call and they told me to report to work. So,
Oh wow. So like just like that.
just like that. So I worked at a milk factory. Those who know, in Eldoret, I don't want to mention the name, but
Mhm.
I worked in a milk factory. So it was just casual job, like kazi ya mikono. So I used to work like 16-hour shifts. So I would like, so I lived in Kaptagat, and I didn't, have money to rent. Like whatever I was being paid, if I tried to find a house, it couldn't be even like sustainable. So I remember, asking my dad. He had like a motorcycle. So I borrowed the motorcycle, went to the garage, fixed it, and then I would like fuel it. And then so I would leave the house at 3, and then I would, fuel. It was like around 42 kilometers. So I would drive, I would like, ride the
Wait,
motorcycle.
42 kilometers to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I live
Okay.
I live in a place called Flax in Kaptagat. So from there to, Eldoret town is 42 kilometers. So I would fuel and take me like 25, 40 minutes. I'll be there, you know. So it was like kind of like the like you package milk, right? So the milk is okay, like the machine kind of like processes the milk, then put it in like the not the cartons, like those things, I don't know. And then you have to like package them in a box, right? So the conveyor just keeps coming, keeps coming. So if you look, you know, sideways, the milk is down. And I remember we used to pray that the machine would break down. So we like go
Oh,
for
get a break.
yeah,
Oh man.
because if it breaks, then it takes like the minimum amount is 1 hour because that's to like run the maintenance cycle again. Then we'll go, you know, sleep on the cartons, just take a nap, not even sleep, like taking a nap. It was crazy. And I started remembering, you know, I'm a graduate, but you know, that's like nobody sees that. And that is the expectation of most people. Like, you know, I go to school, get a good job, but life is, you know, life is something else. So I worked there for 3 months. Within those 3 months, I was like just looking around, still sending my resume to employers. So I was just doing now like via email, not working office to office. And I got this company, is based in Canada. I know that some were watching, so shout out to you. And they have like a branch or a subsidiary in Eldoret. So I interviewed with them. It's like an IT and consulting company. And then, yeah, they were like, you know, we're impressed with you, you know, your qualification, you know, somebody who like looks ambitious. And I was like, yeah, give me the chance. I'll show you. And I did. So I started working with them in November 2019 before COVID. So worked until March. COVID came, went to work from home. So I worked from home until the last minute. I would say it was a nice experience, you know. They challenged me. I moved the ranks, you know, 3 times in 3 years. I was like promoted 3 times in 3 years. And what I learned is that, you know, once you start feeling comfortable, that's the time to move. So for me, I reached a point, you know, I was like, I almost hit my marks. And I was like, what next? You know, what else? And that is when now I started thinking about, you know, coming to the US. So let me say, coming to the US, I started like not even coming to the US because my intention was not to come to the US. That's the funny side of the story.
Before you move there. So you said this like the company you worked for before you decided to think about moving to the US. You said it was a Canadian company in Kenya.
Yeah, it's based in Canada, Ontario, Ottawa, but they
Okay.
have like subsidiaries around the world. So they have branches in Kenya, in the
Ah.
UK, even in the US.
Is it a company that like someone here who's, you know, looking for a job, if they wanted to go find a job there, like how would they go about it?
Yeah, so they do have like a website, and I think there's openings in the US as well. I think there is also one in Chicago.
Okay.
But maybe, you know, I'll just send you a link later on. I don't know,
Okay.
like
No, sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good.
yeah.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
So then you started thinking about coming to the
yeah, I
US.
started thinking in January 2022. So that is where now my story starts. And then we go down, down, down. So in January 2022, you know, I started thinking of, you know, coming, you know, to North America specifically. So I was not looking into Australia or UK or any other country. I was looking into North America. So I thought of Canada would be a bit, you know, somebody usually starts with the US and then they're like, US is so hard to get in. Let me get to the second one. So my second on the list was Canada. And so in January 2022, I started like, I think there's a video you did. I don't know if it's about the express entry thing. I don't know if you've done a video about express entry or it's somebody
Uh,
else.
I've talked about, you know, some programs too that are in Canada.
Canada, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this express entry thing, and I ended
What
up, thinking
what
about
province?
it.
What province
Sorry?
was that? What
Oh,
province?
like, okay, like the express entry is like a lottery, like for Canada,
Yeah.
But I was thinking about, just any province that I will meet the qualifications. So I was not looking specifically for any. But before that, I was like, I tried to talk to my employer, try to see if they can move me there, because I think there's some sort of there's something called international in the US you call it L1 visa. So
Yeah,
it's like
L1
the
international.
company has a branch, then they can move you. So I started conversation with them in January, and everything went well. Started conversation in February, March. um the only thing that in that it was budgets and stuff. So like they have to plan, like you're moving, there's a lot of cost implication. Who's gonna you know bear the cost? So the conversation ended around like April 2022. It wasn't like possible, and I was like, okay, let me try the express entry thing. So what I did is I went and did my IELTS exam. So I did IELTS, and then there's some points, like they calculate your points, like the IELTS score, the age, adaptability, do you have a job offer? So I remember the points were so high. I was like, even if it's having hope, like this one is far fetched, and I was
Oh,
like, I need to,
they required the points they
yeah,
required. Okay.
this is the cutoff. So the cutoff was so high, and I was like, man, I need to be realistic. If I want to move quickly, then I need to find another route. Um, so after thinking about it, and then in September now, I was like, I need to find a school in Canada. So I was like, okay, Google schools in Canada, Ontario. That's what I did, and that's what I usually tell people. Like, if you don't know, like, just Google. Somebody will ask you like, hey, can you recommend schools? It's hard, like there are a lot of schools. So I did look for a school, but because of the Canada, visa thing, I was not sure. So I used an agency. So there's an education agency. I won't mention the name, but they have a branch in Eldoret and in Nairobi. So I went to them, gave them my documents, and they were like, "Oh, we can find you a school." So I got this school in Ottawa, Ontario. It's called Algonquin College.
Mhm.
The reason why I chose that school was because they were offering, I wanted to do something in supply chain. So they were offering a postgraduate certificate, like a 1 year postgraduate certificate in supply chain management. So, I said, okay, let me go with this. So I started the process, collected my, documents, needed to apply for the visa. And then I started like applying for the visa. I went for the medicals in, is it called, I remember, I don't,
Biometrics? Wait.
IOM.
Oh yeah, the international.
Yeah, I went for the medicals. I went to the VFS Global Office, I think opposite Safaricom House in
To do your,
Nairobi.
their
By finger
biometrics.
my biometrics, did my biometrics. So I submitted my application. I was just, now waiting for the decision. So that was in around. So before that, like this school was giving me a conditional acceptance. They needed me to pay some fees, like the first semester tuition.
Okay.
So I remember it was around 8,000 Canadian, around there. So
But Canadian.
I paid the first semester fees before applying for my visa.
Wait, you paid before you applied for the visa?
Yeah, it was a conditional acceptance. Like the acceptance will not be valid if you don't pay the fees,
Okay. Okay.
or they call it the deposit. But they were saying if you pay it now, it's gonna like you're not gonna come and pay again the fees. Like you're just gonna go
It's
and
like a
study.
deposit. It's like a
So they
deposit.
want you to commit, yeah, basically. Like you wouldn't now start, taking another school.
Okay.
So in November, I paid the fees. Then December did the visa application, and then the waiting started. It's a journey of patience. But interestingly enough, mine only took 3 weeks to get the decision. And in January this year, 2023, got an email from IRCC. They usually tell you like a message is waiting for you here. And
in your
they are
inbox.
like, oh
Okay.
my goodness. So I checked, it was a refusal, so I was denied. And I was like, I'm done. I I'm not gonna stay in Kenya and just, maybe start a business. Um
So
so
that did not like discourage you, because there's people who,
yeah,
once they
I
apply
understand that, definitely. And I had like very good managers, but I would say like when I was doing this, my you know the people I work with, my immediate managers knew all about it. They were even supporting me. So shout out
that's
to shout out to them. So I didn't give up, and so I took a break. So I went back and requested a refund of my money that I paid. They refunded me the money, the tuition fees. And then now I stayed until like April.
good thing. Good thing that was
Yeah,
Canada.
I know it's scary. And I remember my dad was like, wanasemanga in Swahili like ilikulwa, ilikulwa, ilikulwa. But they returned, like, even because of the exchange rate, I got more than I'd paid. So I got more in shillings. So I remember I'd paid like it was around 923,000, and then they refunded me. It was 975,000. So
Ah, ah. I
the
wanted to
exchange
put
rate.
the name. I wanted to put the name of the school there because it's
Yeah, it's Algonquin College. Yeah. So
yeah, it's a difficult name. Pauline is
yeah.
asking, did they refund your admission fee?
So the thing is, they refund you if it's something that's, like you cannot control. Like, let's say
It's
you
if
get
it's the
denied a visa. So when you
Mhm.
get denied a visa, you send them the email from IRCC, the letter, and then they'll just process your refund. But if it's something like, let's say you say, I don't want to continue with this school, then they'll deduct some some amount, depending on how close you are to the start of the school. So the more you get close, the less of a refund you get. But maybe for people who want to know why, like the reason I was denied, the reason was because of finances. I used a bank statement from my uncle, and the visa officer was like, yes, we can see the money is there. Like, I had like a bank statement of like 30 million Kenya shillings, and they were like, we see the money, like we're not disputing that, but how sure are we that this uncle is
Will
gonna release the funds once we give you the visa? So,
uh,
and then
did
for
you,
Canada, you're not there to say,
yeah,
hey, explain yourself. No, they just deny you. So
did you have an affidavit when you
yeah,
applied from your
I
uncle?
I had
You had
everything,
you had
everything,
everything. Ah,
everything.
but it's
Actually, that
so
was the only reason. Proof of, like the home ties. I had everything. Like my paperwork was good. I was just suspecting, the bank statement, and that was the one that threw me
yeah,
off.
yeah.
And
So one thing about the US and Canada, they actually, a lot of people, when you go and they ask you, so who's going to be funding this, and you say your uncle, that
yeah,
is, that is the story with like 80% of Kenyans. We like to say uncle when
yeah, in
they
quotes.
so even the minute you say uncle, it's like a red flag. Oh, my uncle is funding for my trip. My uncle is doing this. So
Yeah,
that's why sometimes it's easier. Like, if your uncle can give you a bank statement, is it possible to ask your uncle, hey, lend me some money for a little bit, and then I
yeah,
can take whatever I have together with what they lend me to use to use as a
Actually, that
bank.
is the best way. If they can transfer the money to you early, like let's say they transfer to you in your bank and then it stays for like 6 months, and then now you use it, maybe, or maybe they transfer to your parents or like your dad or mom. That will be like you're gonna like 99% sure approval. But if it's like in their bank, then you have to like do that with everything. And like I usually say like we take things casually sometimes back home,
Yeah,
but like somebody here like in America or Canada, like you need to make them understand why your uncle is gonna pay for you and you still have your parents. The parents are alive. They don't get that thing. Like
yeah.
they don't see the logic. So
No, because
they
it doesn't like logically, and you'll tell me when you live in the US, it's your parents are your first responsibility.
yeah,
And so if the bank statement is from your parents, that's understandable. My dad is
yeah,
paying for my school fees. My dad is paying for my trip to go, and visit. But the minute it goes to an uncle, because here in the US, like other, it's usually the nuclear family.
yeah,
Once it goes after your parents, then the other people are not inclined. You're not my problem. People here are independent. It's like you're not my problem. I'm your uncle. I don't have to pay I don't have to pay for
yeah,
you for anything. And so that's why that line is not they don't they don't buy it because they don't buy it here. Your uncle
yeah,
outside of your family, people like do their own things.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. So after that, I started like looking for schools, and I got two schools. I got South Dakota, and so South Dakota was offering a master's in operations management, and
Hmm.
then Kentucky was offering a master's in supply chain. So after searching, I narrowed down to those two, and I chose the University of Kentucky because their program was kind of like accelerated. So my program is like supposed to be 2 years, but I'm crushing it in like 11 months. So I'm gonna be done, within a year. And I was like, this is good for me, especially like I've been in the industry, worked in the corporate, and I need like little amount of break, and then get back, to working. So that worked for me. But I would say, so the search began after, the denial of the Canada visa. I gave up with Canada and I was like, maybe, God has bigger plans. God has said, the future is like, no, this one, I want you to be, to go for something great. Um, so I started applying in May. Um, Actually, my admission, I would say like my process to the US was the quickest. Like it took me less than 3 months from the time I started the process, like looking for the school and everything. So I, contacted the recruiters. And the good thing about Kentucky, University of Kentucky, like they are so fast. Like you send them an email today, by, the end of the day, they have already responded. So I remember I applied in May, around like May 10th. I'm not sure about the specific day. Within 2 days, they had responded and they gave me my admission. So I got my
Wait.
admission in like 2 days.
Okay.
That was like, it just blew my mind. And I was like, okay. So after getting my admission now, the process starts, you need to find, you need to get your I-20. So this is the, like somebody, if you want to like just start like find a school, then the next thing, get admission. Now after getting admission, now worry about how to get the funding, and I think we're going to talk about the funding later on.
Yeah. So,
um
like your application, is it just did they require you to do like a thesis, statement of purpose,
oh,
or
okay, okay. So let me check my the documents I used because it's been a while. So for my school application, I had like a statement of purpose. So, why Kentucky, why supply chain? And then I had my resume. I had my transcripts, of course, passport. I had referees. So for referees, you know, you need to list either a professional, somebody you've worked with in a company, or somebody like an academic, maybe a professor
How
or
many did
something.
they need for you?
So they needed one. So you could either submit a professional or an academic. No, they needed two, but you could submit. If you don't get a academic one, you can submit two professional. So they
Mhm.
wanted academic and one. But if you miss, you can submit two of the same. Um, and then for the English, they needed a proof of English um, exam, which they were allowing you to do Duolingo. So Duolingo is like it's like I think it's online. You can just do it. It's cheaper. I think $45. But they said, you know, if you can give us a letter from your school, and the letters will say like during your bachelor's the mode of instruction was English, like the teaching was English, the curriculum was English, then we're going to exempt you from that requirement. So I went to my school within those 2 days. I got a letter. They lodged for me a letter, and I sent them to the school and went to the admissions team, and they say, you know, you've been exempted from the English requirement. Yeah.
Ah.
So
And they usually do that a lot for Kenya,
yeah, for
but you
Kenya.
have to know that to ask for that. Otherwise, you'll go do the
Yeah, you need to
exam.
ask. If you don't ask, then you can do IELTS. It's a cost for you.
Okay, okay. And then so
Mhm.
you sent. Oh, how long was your statement of purpose? Did you?
Statement of purpose. Let me remember. One, two, three. I think like 3 pages. Yeah, it wasn't long. Like just why this university, why the US. Um, I talked about my career and stuff, and then what I intend to get from the program. Like just
Okay,
simple. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, so those are the documents I used. And then now I got the admission, and not the admission, the acceptance, right? So I need to get my I-20. And I was like, I looked at the amount they're asking, and I was like, okay, where do I
So
get this money?
so they
Yeah.
admitted you. What they admitted you? You got the acceptance letter
Yeah.
before you got the I-20. Because
Yeah.
for you to
Usually
get the I-20, you need to
need the
provide funds.
proof of funds. Yeah. So they said, send us a bank statement or a letter from your sponsor or whatever. So most people, when they hear, about funding, they just think the first thing is bank statement, right? But it can be anything. It can be scholarship. It can be someone who is like a charity, like a sponsor or something. So I started the process of like applying for a loan, which through like there's the financial institution called Mpower. And yeah, because I couldn't get a bank statement like of that crazy amount. And usually people,
How
when they
much,
look at the amount, they're
wait,
like,
how much were they asking?
okay, so this, as I said, like it's an accelerated program, right?
Mhm.
So they add like tuition. So tuition was they had put like everything for the entire program.
Program?
So
Mhm.
tuition was 36,000 US dollars. So that was to cover for your tuition for the entire program. And then for living expenses, they usually approximate and they put it like a
Yeah.
so high figure, right? So for the living, they put like 16,000.
So that's like
Um,
52.
and then there's health insurance. So for us, they don't, like, you can find your own insurance, but they recommend that you use the one provided by the university. So insurance was 2,800.
Okay.
So yeah, total it was 56
54. What is it?
56,000.
50? Oh, okay.
50,
56.
yeah, 50,
56,000.
yeah, 56,000, everything. But you've not
That's
included your education.
that's like
So
8.5 million Kenya shillings.
Yeah, in Kenya shillings, you're gonna be like, I need to sell a kidney.
And there's so like yeah, so that's the thing. You're telling somebody who is like you just graduated and you had a few years of working, and then they ask you for 8.5 million Kenya shilling.
Imagine.
Yeah,
It's
that's
my
that's the thing that people don't often talk about. It's everyone wants to come to Canada, US, to Europe, Australia, but we don't often talk about that it needs money. You need money to actually make it to, make it to come. And so that's one of those things that it's not just a handout. You can't hand it out to somebody. And if you don't
yeah,
have the money, then you need to go dig in because there are ways to come if you don't have money.
yeah.
But the thing is, you need money. You need money for the visa and all those so many things. But I'll let you go on. Let you go. Did Kentucky have a application fee?
Yeah, they had, but they were waiving at that time. So, but you'll have to request, like, if you go and apply and just pay it, like you've paid it. But if you say, hey, I'm looking, I want to like inquire, I'm not maybe like in a good position right now. Can you like waive it? They do it case by case basis. So you want to like just talk to the recruiter. They can say yes or no. So they said
Ah,
yes.
uh, somebody asked, how much is medicals? The US doesn't do medicals for student
Yeah, for
visas.
F1, no, I didn't do medical. I think that was for Canada. I did. That was
Canada,
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, Canada
You're
is the one
going
that asks you
yeah.
asks you to do medical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For the
yeah,
US, I didn't do medical.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So started the process of applying for the Mpower in June. That was the one that took me the longest because it took like almost a month because there was like some back and forth. First thing they check your credit score. So
In
if you're
Kenya,
somebody,
wait. So
yeah, yeah,
you do have credit scores in Kenya?
yeah, you have the one for what is it called? The credit info. There's this credit
Okay.
info report, but they've partnered with another one called Nova. So Nova is the US based credits like agency. Now
Uh-huh.
what they do is they try to find your record from Kenya. So they source it from credit info. So they ask you to like to consent that they're gonna check your
Ah, I'm
credit history. Yeah.
I'm gonna make you laugh a little bit before you go to that serious topic, empower topic. No, I used to have a guy actually. My guy in campus, because I went to the University of Nairobi. My guy
Mm-hmm.
was Mwangi. Mwangi used to sell me the KDFs. So
Ah, yeah. Like what's like I mean, like that was the order of the day, KDF, I think there was even like a memes, KDF, KDF. Yeah, so that was the order
and
of the day. I mean, like I used to go to the mess, like the cafeteria, the university cafeteria, and we will get like rice. There's this rice, beans, and vegetables. And it was
Mhm.
like 23 shillings, like Kenya shillings. And then so even if you had like 30 bob, you can still eat. Like,
You can
that was the
still
good thing about the campus life. That was subsidized.
yeah. So wait, so empower. How did you come to know about empower? And
Uh-huh.
then you can take us through the long process of applying for it.
Yeah. Okay. So Empower is kind of like if you don't have like there are a lot of lenders out there. You just gotta like do your research. So the reason why Empower is because they were offering like better, I would say, like interest rates. So they give you like a fixed interest rate. So I think it was 12.74%. Um, and they give you like a 10-year repayment period. So
Wait,
um
you said 12%,
12.7%,
and
12.7%. Oh, that's what they gave me. But
Do
it
you
can.
like when does the interest start to accrue? Is it after you're
Now
done?
the interest. So when you arrive here in the US,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably the most thing like people need to know, they're gonna have you to start paying the interest, not the principal. You start paying the interest. So you need to kind of like find something like a job, an on-campus job that will kind of like help you. But if you don't get a job, you can use the money they gave you for living into the repayment. So it just starts to repay itself. Because if you delay, then they pile it up. Then when you finish, like you can ask them to like say, hey, I'm not in a position. Could you delay this until when I finish my school? But it's gonna like take a toll on you because you now be
It's
paying
gonna
the
keep.
interest plus the principal. So yeah, it kicks in once you start school, and not it's not a lot. Like you pay like $200 so every month for the interest,
Um,
depending on how much they gave you. Because you see, like how much they give you is depending on the school, the tuition fee, the what is in the I-20. So they try like, but the maximum they can give you is I think 50,000.
the
Not the
maximum they can give you
50,000 US dollars.
50,
Um,
50. Okay.
50,000. Um, so there are other things that go into that final figure that they give you. There's the credits. I said the credits, the credit history. So if you have like defaulted a loan before, or you are servicing a big loan in Kenya, like let's say more than 200,000 Kenya shillings,
Yeah.
it's gonna be tricky. They're gonna say, okay, either they'll give you partial or they won't give you at all, because now you're a risky, you're at the risk of defaulting.
So
Um,
people who don't pay
yeah,
their
like
debts.
people usually like joke and they're like, why did you take like this a big loan? And you're like, like there's this something called the time value of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say, the Kenyan American home, you decide to buy a house today, right? Maybe like $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I decide to say, no, I don't want a debt. I don't want debt. I want to like pay everything in cash. And I save up for like 20 years, right? And I buy the same home. You have, lived in that home for 20 years. You've enjoyed it. For me, I pay, after 20 years, I start living.
Yeah.
And for how long am I going to live? A short time. So it's kind of like, you have to like see the bigger picture. Don't just be scared
The
of the
time,
amount.
yeah, the
But
time value of money, but also too,
yeah,
it's it might seem like a big number, like when you talk about how much they're even quoting you for the school, like 8.5 million Kenya shillings. That money to a Kenyan is a lot of money.
it's like
See,
the entire world.
that, that's a lot of money. But that's like when if let's say you finish school and you start working, like here even, well, like the minimum usually, if you have a bachelor's degree, sometimes they start you get a good job that is salaried. They start you off at like what, like 70,000 or so. And so that money, ideally it's paid by 1 year, but it's how much you make after, it's a small investment to then what you'll make. Because that money,
Yeah,
it looks very, it's a huge amount of money for a Kenyan.
yeah,
But
I
then
understand.
how much do you stand to make from,
Yeah.
from that? Yeah.
So, because I didn't have the bank statement, that was, you know, the one that I used. And so after fetching my credit score, uploading my documents, passport, admission letter, so they, you know like it's a step by step process actually. Like the portal itself, like the Mpower portal, like it's so, what do you call it, it's intuitive. Like once you finish the next step, it tells you, okay, we are waiting for this, you upload. We're waiting for this, you upload. So if somebody like, it's so easy. Like you just need to like go there, create an account, say, I want to apply for student loan, and then they guide you through all this. Like it's so
Uh,
intuitive. Yeah. So
it looks like they upped the amount to. they can give up to 100,000 now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think that's a new one. So
Yeah. But this is kind of like this is the portal that you're talking about. It's a
yeah,
step by step. I don't know why.
yeah,
It's a step by step. They take you through the whole process. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
go
Once
on, go
you
on.
create an account, yeah, they give you every information. So after that, took me like until July to get. So I got approved for the loan, and then now in July, so I got like kind of like started to think about the visa. And I'm like, that's like the most dread, like a dreading thing. Like most people, they prefer those countries who just tell you like submit online and don't appear. But for the US, you have to go there, show up, show that you're a genuine student. That's what they look for is like you're a genuine student. So I realized I didn't have any travel history. So um, I talked to my employer. I was like, I need to go somewhere and try to build some travel history. So it happened we have an office. They had an office in Malaysia. So I went to Malaysia. That was in June 30th. I booked a flight, going to Malaysia, and then I worked from Malaysia for 3 weeks until July 21st. So during that time, I was like paying. So I remember I sent my mom to pay for me the service fee. I was hunting for a date. So now I couldn't find a date. That was crazy. Like I needed to find a date before August. And I was in mid of July. Then I checked Nairobi embassy. Well, like the earliest date is May 2024. I was like, okay. They have an option to expedite, but sometimes they can deny the expedition. It's not guaranteed.
Most of the time they actually deny you.
Yeah, some people think it's so easy. Like, imagine everybody is trying to expedite, like, what will happen?
Yeah, yeah, they
And
deny you.
most people don't know, like, expedition is not like they create slots. What they do, they instead of like starting work at 8 a.m., they start
Mhm.
working at like 7, for example. So they have to like, they work early. Like, they
You,
wake up
you
to handle those, emergency cases. So that's why mostly they deny, the
yeah.
expedition because they have to create extra time. Um, so in mid-July, sent my mom to pay for me the service fee. I was still in Malaysia, and then I was looking for a date now. So I found dates in Burundi, Bujumbura. So they were having like July. No, it was August 1st. Not even August. They had like open slots, like you can book like literally like tomorrow or whatever next week. So I remember, I think I booked 20, 28, I think so. And then now there's a lot of, I don't know, is it conspiracy theories about, this embassy is better than this. If you go here, you're gonna get denied. So there was a lot of stories I was hearing, and they were like getting into my mind. And eventually I was like, let me try, to look for dates in Kenya, because like if you go to Burundi, that's a travel. Like you need to travel, you're gonna be exhausted. And what if you get denied? There's a lot of stuff going on. So I remember when I was coming back, I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It's like around 10 minutes before boarding my return flight to Kenya. I was on my phone just refreshing the visa appointment website. And then I just out of nowhere, a date showed up, July 28th. And I like, so fast booked it, got on the plane and came back to Kenya. So I arrived in July 21st. So I had like 7 days to prepare for my visa interview.
Mhm.
So I started, watching, the videos. I joined visa preparation groups. So maybe Facebook, if you don't know where to find, you can try to go to Facebook, try to find those. You might find maybe people from India, other countries, like sharing their experiences. And then I, watched some of the videos on YouTube, TikTok. So, and then I was like, I'm ready. So went to Nairobi. I remember it was um, 27th. I went a day before. So I went with Northrift. That's our main shuttle. So I booked Northrift 6 hours. I was in Nairobi. The following morning, woke up. Was it around like 5 or 6? I went, took an Uber, went to the embassy, and there were a lot of people who were like, I thought I was the first one. Like people came like, I don't know, 4 or whatever. There was like a big line. They were like, I was like number 600 and something. And I was like, whoa. So, you need to have all the documents. So maybe if you wanna like me to list, I can list the documents that I used.
Sure.
One sec. I need to check.
Yeah.
So of course you have to have your I-20. So the I-20, the I-20, and then you need to have your passport. So a valid passport, like it must be valid passport. You need to have your DS-160. So DS-160 is the confirmation that you, after filling in the online application, you print it, and then you have your service fee receipt. You need to have 2 passport-size photos. Your funding, either it's a bank statement or like for me, the Mpower. So Mpower give you like a letter that you're gonna show at the embassy. And then you need to have, any other document that you think it's necessary. So those are kind of like the major ones. So went there, it was intimidating because you can see somebody who's been denied, like I think it was pink. They give you a pink. If you don't have it, they give you a blue. It was so cold. I remember we sat like those benches. I don't know why they use like, is it steel or like they are made of metal? It was so cold. And I was freezing. I remember when I entered the window, I was like still shaking, and the visa officer was
I'm
like,
sure they regulate the temperatures so that they start getting you cold
"Yeah."
and
So
so.
we queued, and then there was like, like there's a lot of conspiracy. I'm so like there was like this lady who was like denying people a lot, and
Mhm.
then so a window opened up, and somebody, they literally pushed me to go to that lady who was denying people.
Oh, because she's the one
Somebody
that
was
was.
behind me, like he wanted to go to the other window, so they literally like just forced me to go there. And I went there. I was like, okay, this is it. I was less confident. And I remember it was like, she was like female or VO. She just asked me like 3 questions. So she was like, okay, when did you graduate? I was like, 2019. And then she was like, okay, so what do you do? And I was like, I work for this company. I'm working for them for 4 years. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. Um, and then she was like, okay, which courses will you be taking in your first semester? So I answered. I gave them like, I had crammed them. I listed, and then he was like, okay, stop, stop. And then he said, then he asked me like, which program, what was your undergraduate in? So he was looking at my I-20. So he wanted to see, she wanted to see if what I'm going to take in Kentucky is related to what I did in my undergrad. So I did procurement and I'm doing supply chain. So it was, matching. And she was like, okay, your visa is approved, pick your passport after 5 days. And I went. So, that moment, like you still don't believe it. I think
They
it
like
sounds,
you almost want to hear it again.
I was like, pardon? Are you sure? Yeah.
And
But,
then you leave because you don't want them to change their mind.
you leave so quickly. Like, literally, you go grab your phone, maybe go to a hotel, have some, drinks or whatever. So after that, then things now followed, I started like looking for flights. They usually say like don't book your flight before you get the passport. You collect your passport because
Mhm.
maybe they might change the decision. I was like, don't change it. So I started looking for flights. I used Ethiopia Airlines because I didn't want to like. I know there were like cheaper flights, but I used Ethiopia Airlines. Though it was expensive, I used like $1,500. Um, but because it was also near, like I'm traveling in like a week or two, so it was crazy expensive. But I
Yeah.
didn't have like any hassle with using the third party sites. So I booked a flight, but the biggest challenge was getting accommodation. So I didn't know anybody here. Just knew one guy, but at that time the guy was doing Master of Science in Finance at Kentucky. He's a Kenyan, but he was like during summer he went to Boston to see his sister. So he
Mhm.
was like, just try to look, online, or because I'm not in school, I tried to, you know, search for accommodation. So there's another guy we got the visa for Kentucky. So we were two guys who were admitted for the same program from Kenya. So he happened to travel 1 week before me, and he, figured out the accommodation thing. So when I came, I got on campus accommodation. So that helped, in the bit of accommodation. Um, so it was like 1 week. I had to like tell my employer, I got my visa. What do I do with the job? They usually say don't burn bridges. So
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
you know, yeah, because they already knew. They knew even before, like this was my dream, and this is what I'm pursuing. So when they this, they were so happy for me, but I had now to leave, and because of the laws, like they have an office here in the US, but as an F1, you're not allowed to work off campus legally. Yeah, like legally, you're not allowed. So I was like, I had to like resign. So I resigned and then booked my flight, came to the US. I still keep in touch with them, and hopefully to go back, maybe in the US office or something. But yeah, they've been really supportive. And when I came here, now a new chapter. So it's a whole different thing. Like, oh man, the shocks, the culture shocks.
And it's so
Uh,
you had gone to Malaysia, so that was in your first
oh yeah,
experience,
yeah.
experience flying. But then, so you landed. When did you land in the US?
So I left Kenya in August 12th.
Hmm.
I landed in on August 13th. So my flight was like I had like a so I left Nairobi at 6. I went to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Landed at 8 p.m. Had a 2-hour layover, and then took another flight, 8 hours to Dublin, Ireland. So they just stopped to refuel in Ireland for 1 hour, and then another 8 hours to Chicago. So I arrived at Chicago O'Hare, they call it O'Hare Chicago International Airport at on August 18th at 8 a.m. in the morning. So went there. I had a I don't know if I want to talk about it, but it was like a hectic experience at the port of entry. So getting a visa is not everything. So there's still some questions at the port of entry you have to answer, and they're just like trying to verify if whatever I gave the embassy is the same story that I'm giving them. So they asked me a bunch of questions. Um, they detained me for like 3 hours. I missed
Detained
my
you for
flight.
3 hours.
Yeah, like I think 4 hours.
Oh wow. So wait, what
Yeah.
were they? What were they saying?
No, okay. Part of like most of the time was just like waiting, like you're just waiting because they take your passport and then they go. I think they do like they check your service ID if it's active. They check if you have any travel history in the US. So if you don't have, then they pull you to an interview room and then they ask you, all sorts of questions like maybe like, where are you going to stay in the US? Do you have accommodation? Will you be working? You know, and then how will you fund your studies? Do you like a lot of bunch of questions? But I remember, like it wasn't like they're not trying to like they're not suspecting or anything, but they just want to like like that record stays there forever. So when you exit the US and can come back and then you say a different story, they'll be like, on this day you said this. So because I didn't have a record, they wanted to like have some record there. So I understood. But I remember when I left, when they were saying like, okay, enjoy your stay in the US, he told me like the it's called the CBP, Customs and Border Patrol. He told me like one thing like told me like make sure you don't work while you are studying in the US because he said I have seen many students get into trouble for doing that. So yeah, that's what he told me, and then I was like, okay. Then I went. My bag was already in like my bag went with the flight that I was supposed to catch. So I was supposed to catch a flight at it was like 10,
Oh,
but because of the day, I missed
you
it. So my luggage went, and then I was booked. So I went to it was United Airline. I went to them and told them, I was held at the customs. I missed my flight. They're like, okay, we're gonna book you the next one. So they booked me the next one at 3. Then I arrived Lexington, Kentucky at 5 p.m. and got picked from the airport. So for Kentucky, they organize like airport pickup. So you need to like before you travel, there's a form you fill, like say this is the flight number, this is the time of arrival. Then they just once you arrive, you'll just find somebody there waiting for you to pick you up and drop you to your accommodation. So they're so nice. Like yeah, so I didn't have a hassle. Like I came here August 13th, and then now started adjusting to the culture shock, America. Yeah.
ah, ah. So wait, what did you say you did for accommodation? Said you
For
need some.
accommodation, I got on campus. There's someone who came before
Oh,
me,
okay.
and then they found the accommodation.
Okay. Did you room? You roomed with somebody? Is it
Yeah,
in
it was
campus or
it
outside?
was in campus. So you have like 2 bedrooms, but 1 bath and kitchen. So you share the commons, but you have your own bedroom.
Okay. Okay. Man, and then so wait, so you've been here now like 2 months?
Three, I think three,
Two
four.
and a half? Yeah, three months. What do you think about the US?
Oh man, I think there is perception and then there is reality.
Yeah,
Maybe when you're back home, you're like, you're gonna just land at the airport, and then money will be falling on you.
land of milk
It's
and
like,
honey.
yeah, it's a land of milk and honey, but you have to work for the milk and honey. It's not gonna come to you. That's just like that. But definitely, like I am grateful if I remember, the struggle home and getting a job. Like here, like literally everywhere is just hiring. We are hiring, we are hiring, we are hiring. So there's a lot of opportunities. At the same time, you still wanna like be yourself, authentic. You wanna like find a community that for the first few months people don't really talk about. That's why you see like people land and then they sink and then they reappear because of there's a lot of things that you are adjusting
Mm.
to.
Yeah, you need
Yeah,
to learn. You need to learn a lot, and
a
especially
lot.
coming here and as a student, obviously, unless you know somebody who has a vehicle, if
Yeah,
you're staying in campus, then you don't have a vehicle. So
yeah, it's crazy. Like the good thing about like Lexington is like so it's like a walkable city,
so you
but also the UK campus, University of Kentucky, they have this, it's called Lextram, like it's like a bus system, so it goes round and round the campus. So if I want to go to class, I just go hop on the bus, takes me to class. It goes round like until like midnight. So you can literally just, yeah, as long as you're not moving out of the town, you
yeah.
cannot pay anything. Yeah, but you need a vehicle,
Yeah.
definitely.
What was your first job?
Okay, good question. So I came here, I started applying to jobs on campus. I went for some interviews. I remember there was one in the library. I didn't get it though. So I approached my professor and I was like, I need to find something. And so they tell me, send me your resume. So there's this, it's called UK purchasing. It's like a procurement department for University of Kentucky. And they looked at my resume and they were like, yeah, this person has some background in procurement. They're gonna be a good fit. So I attended an interview. I got the job, and I now work as a procurement analyst. So
Ah,
yeah,
procurement analyst. I know this. I have been kind of suppressing the questions. People have so many questions.
many questions. Okay, so you can, yeah, you
I've
can
been,
go.
I've been suppressing them, and so maybe we can move on to
Yeah,
questions.
sure.
Questions. Because I know, yeah. So I've been seeing your questions. People just wanting to make sure that you can tell your story. All right, Abdisamaj, Abdi, Abdi, Abdimajid, Abdisamaj. I don't know why.
Mohammed.
Abdimajid Mohammed, bro. I've submitted my application to Kentucky. I think it's University of Kentucky. Can you please ask for me if undergraduates can be admitted before May?
Okay. So which intake? I think maybe you're targeting the fall intake. So if it's fall, then you still have time. So you should receive your admission. But you wanna like check on the, because like for University of Kentucky, everything is online. Like
Yeah.
if you like, you just need to like check the calendar. Was it the calendar thing, like the university calendar, then see like what is the application deadline for fall intake, what is the earliest admission date, which is like the latest admission date. There's contacts for recruiters. There's one by the name Eng Song, Miss Song. There's Rick Mason. Um, so yeah, I think it's showing the website. Yeah, if you like, now depends on the program. Like, but if you go, to specific, um, I don't know if you can see it, admission.
Oh, is it admission requirements or where? Sorry.
Yeah, like even then that you are there, you can just, okay, you can just click apply, because I think this person has already applied, so they know the requirements. But I think if you go back where
I'll go
you
back.
had clicked apply now. mm, no, this one is like creating a portal. There's this one called, I don't know where to find, but if you just Google like University of Kentucky admission deadlines or calendar, I usually just Google it because there's a lot of links that will lead you. But if you just Google University of Kentucky admission deadlines or calendar, you're gonna see everything about admissions. Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's everything is online. But if you want to contact the recruiters, you can. There's one thing's called Song, and then there's Rick Mason. So you can look them up and shoot them an email and say, hey, like if you have any question about, admission.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds sounds good. Sounds good.
So I think the
Yeah.
question is,
So I think for freshmen they say December 1st. For
that the earliest or deadline?
that's the
The,
early action
yeah,
deadline. December 1st. Then February 15th it's the regular decision deadline.
yeah, yeah,
Then May 1st is the confirmation deadline.
yeah.
All right. Okie dokie. Let me go back to us. Oh, so Eva watching from Colorado Springs. Eva, I think I might probably met you in church yesterday. If that was you. That was you. It's funny sometimes you meet people and they're like, "Oh, I watch you. I watch you on YouTube."
Yeah.
uh oh, I think so. What about husband? I think she's asking in relation to the bank statement. And yeah, your husband is you. So that's a good bank statement. The bank statement is from your husband. That's good. That's good. And then Iris Sutsa says, so what are you supposed to say if your uncle is financing the whole thing? Well, so there's people who've come to the US actually, and they're being financed by their uncles. It's all about how you present it. How you present it when you're asked who will be funding for you. If you just say it's my uncle, and there's nothing special about that, because it could be your uncle that has been taking care of you because your parents passed away, and so it's like your uncle could be your legal guardian, and so these are pretty much like your parents, and so it's just how you explain it. It's always good to not just answer like a one word answer. You can put a statement to what you're saying. You know, put a statement to why would he be committed to pay for you? Why would he be committed to pay for you? Corina Zenga is saying, were you not asked the bank statement? Did they ask you for a bank statement?
I mean, by the embassy or the school.
Yeah.
For the school, they
No,
ask
the
for proof of funds.
the embassy. The
The
embassy.
embassy, no, but the person in front of me, not in front of me, like the next window, they were being asked about the bank statement. So maybe it's God's favor. I mean, like
Ah,
you need to prepare for any question. Like you don't want to like try to predict what the visa officer will ask. Like prepare everything, then go there. If they say pull, you pull it, you pull it. But nowadays they don't even ask you for the document itself. They want to like just know your story. So you're not like you should sound like a genuine student. That's the thing. Once they see like you look like a genuine student, they're gonna give you, regardless if
yeah,
you have good money or not.
yeah. I think people invest so much on documents, but
Yeah, yeah.
they don't
It's all
really. A lot, yeah. They rarely ask for. If they ask for your bank statement,
unless there was
that
something they,
usually is
you know.
that's not a very good indication about how
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing.
they suspect something.
Yeah, because it might be you're not consistent. That's why I always say
Yep.
DS 160 is very important. What you feel
Yeah,
is very important. Because like I'm sure for you, they kind of scanned your DS 160. They know what you answered,
yeah,
and so they picked random questions, and not everybody will be asked the same questions at the
yeah.
embassy. Yeah, yeah.
That's true.
Can you ask him, does Canada embassy call the bank to find out about the bank statement?
Um, no, they don't. But nowadays things are changing. I heard like Canada, they pick like random people for interviews. So you might be called for a physical interview at the consulate. So then that means you'll have to come with it. If you give it online, then you call for the physical, then you need to go and show it. But when I did it, they didn't. I asked the person who I had used the statement. They said no, they weren't contacted by the embassy.
Mm, uh, what about if you use? It's the same thing too
When
here.
you answer
It's like
my story.
yeah, same thing, same thing. Uh Someone is asking for clarification on your masters.
Oh,
US is
uh,
accelerated.
actually, I think if you, I don't know if you have Google, like if you Google uh, like my MSc supply chain, University of Kentucky, it will show you like Here they go by credit hours. Like, so it's a 30-hour credit program. So you do it in 11 months, actually, not even 1 year, it's 11 months. But it's compressed. If you want to like spread out to 2 years, you still can, and take less coursework and then complete it with like 1.5 to 2 years. So yeah, it depends how you wanna. But for international, I'll advise like try like people when the funny thing when people come here, they think fast about work, right? Like it's all about
Money.
work, work. But just one step at a time. Yeah, I think you're showing the screen. Yeah, so it's a 30. You can do it in 11 months. So that's the program that I'm doing. It's a STEM program, so you get the OPT. You get work authorization for 3 years. So even though you did it in 11 months, you can work for 3 years in the US as you try to
Yeah.
get your H1B visa. Yeah, so it's eligible for OPT. Yeah, so that's
Cool. Cool. Uh, no, this. I'm trying to go through the question. Make sure the. Did you look into other sources of funding?
okay. That's a good one. So I had like I remember I told you I paid the fees for Algonquin. So
Mm-hmm.
I still had some money. So my dad had like some money, and
Mm-hmm.
it transferred to my bank. So I had around 1.6 million Kenya shillings
Mm-hmm.
in personal account. So that's the extra that I had, just in case. I'm just using as a backup. If they say, okay, are you relying on the loan alone? I'm like, no, I have this. So I just add it in case. So I had a bank statement, but I don't
Just in
use it.
case. Ah. Okay. Okay. No, about like, is it? What about like you?
Oh, like you mean like for scholarships?
No, other than like Empower. Did you look at maybe like
Uh,
HB? Because
oh, you
there's
mean like the lenders?
yeah.
No, I just did Empower. I think Empower as so there were like four major ones. There's the Empower, there's HB, there's Discover, there's Prodigy Finance. So I tried to like look at the which one is offers like the best interest, and also like what are the requirements. So Empower was giving you like a fixed interest rate of 12.74%, with a grace period of like 10 years to repay. But also they didn't need a cosigner. So most of them, like Prodigy, Discover, they needed a cosigner. Like you need to find somebody in the US who
Who
can
will?
cosign for you. So they needed like a collateral. But I went with Empower because they don't need. HB, they're similar to Empower, but I think maybe the interest rate is a bit higher. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Someone's asking, is it 12% per annum?
Yeah, it's per annum.
Uh, what if you have a help loan?
Yeah,
Will
it
they
doesn't
still?
impact. Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay.
Everyone doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I think one of the things. Did you ever consider scholarships now that you're in UK?
Yeah. So you see, yes, the UK is like a big research school, but my program is kind of like what do I say that there's not a lot of research. What we have
Mhm.
at the end of the program is like something like a capstone project where employers allow us to work with them on some projects. But in terms of scholarship, I would say it's a bit tricky for Kentucky. I know there are other schools that offer very good GA, graduate assistantship, research assistantship. Not even like other school, like even here in UK, like other departments, like if you're doing something like science, like biology, agriculture, like you can get like a GA or like a RA and cover like it waives your tuition. But school of business, it's a little bit, yeah, there's not much of research. So
Yeah, they don't have as many
Yeah,
scholarships
you know,
as agriculture.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
People who don't know what GA is, that's a graduate assistantship or teaching
Yeah,
assistantships, which is
yeah, yeah.
TA. Eric wants you to say, do you first get admission and then apply for the loan?
Yeah,
Uh, yes.
that's correct. You can't apply for the okay, you can start the process, but as I said, like it's
Very-
intuitive, like, step by step. So it's gonna ask you like upload your admission letter. So what are you
Yes.
gonna upload if you don't have admission?
Yep. African Boys podcast. How will you convince the people at the embassy that you will come back after school? And since you already do have a loan,
Hmm. So I think those are two questions. There's the home ties, coming back after school, and then there's the loan. Um, okay, might be related or not. Depends on how you explain your story. But what they're looking for is like you're a genuine student, you're gonna go, study and come back. But maybe because of the loan, of course that doesn't change it. You still like your story when you go to the embassy is like you're gonna come back. So you need to like show that you've, let's say you are working, right? You say, like this job is paying me, good, and when I come back I'll still be able, I'll take like a bigger position, and I'm even gonna earn more and start paying back the money. But the other thing also you can say, I have like maybe a family business, whatever. And as I said, like how you explain yourself, it's that's what really matters. So you might convince them or not, they'll be like, oh no, I don't feel convinced. Or they can, not even like bother about like the loan. Because they know, like even here in the US, I think, the Kenya American realm, you can know like people here, like they go to school, the government fund, they give them a loan and they have to repay after. So I think the idea of loans in the African context is still, like if somebody hears about loan is like bad, like loan is bad. So
they'll run away. No, yeah, it's like they'll run away from the
they don't
responsibility.
want to like hear about loan. So I understand the concept.
Yeah, here it's more like you have a responsibility that you have to take care of. So you most likely stay, pay it versus running away, running away, running away from your loans. Kim actually, Kim is asking, mnaweza changia follower, niko na admission letter ndio iko juu. Ah. Well, Kim, I'm gonna put I'm putting your comment there. You never know, destiny connectors. You know, there could be a sponsor here watching, and they will reach out to you. Make sure you leave a comment in the video, Kim Kahura. Uh, leave a comment. What do you want to study? How much do you need? And you never know. You never know. There could be a this. There could be somebody, a destiny connector, who is waiting to see this, and the God has been asking them to take one person and lift them up. So may the destiny connector locate you, Kim. Destiny connector. Aya. You mean they ask about Isma Gatarama? You mean they ask you about traveling history? Not necessarily. It just, I think he did it. He did it just to make his chances better. And interviews are very different.
That
People
is
get so it's so different the direction the interview will go. It just you can't say this one was asked these questions, and so if I go, they'll ask me the same questions. Actually, yeah, it's like they ask you questions. Some of these questions you don't hear them asking very often, and so they'll ask you so many different things. So you just need to be prepared to answer. As long as you know what you're going to do and you know what you filled in your DS 160, and you know where you're going, you've done some research on, whether it's school or you're coming here to visit, just know information, because like he was asked about the courses he's going to take. If he didn't do his homework and he like started fumbling, that would have been a denial. Like if they asked you, Rotich, what are you,
Mhm.
that's one of the questions they ask you. What courses are you taking in your
Yeah,
first, and you started like, I didn't check. That's a
yeah, yeah.
denial.
Yeah.
That's a denial. And that's why, like, because it's some of these things, it's you just need to know where you're going and what are you doing. Because they expect you, it's very reasonable to expect that you have done research about the school you're going to and your first semester in school. But
Yeah.
if they ask you, they can't ask you, oh, what are you going to be doing your fourth semester down the line? Because that's
No.
impossible. But like, especially for the way the school system works in the way they work in the US, you have to, the earlier you register for classes, the better your chances are for you to get into those classes. Like, you'll see, if those people who are like those people who delay in registering classes, sometimes you go try and register and the class is already full.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
True.
have this number of students that they need for this class, and so you need to, as soon as possible, because they give you dates that they these dates are open, you can register for classes now. If you wait, you'll come see all the classes are full. So that's why you kind of need to be, and so they expect you to be checking what are you going to be doing in your first semester. And yeah, so that was one of, like, your interview would have gone, in a very different direction if you like had no
Yeah.
idea. Had no
Like
idea.
the first question just determines like the next and the next and the next. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Someone asked about when you start to pay your loan back. You
so I,
mentioned the
I think I
Mhm.
mentioned like you pay the interest when you're still in school, and then the principal you pay after you finish. You start working.
So is it after you get a job or after you graduate?
After you graduate, but if you didn't get a job immediately, then you can request them for like a grace period. Then
Mhm.
they can like pause it.
Okay. Maureen Bojom, so you cannot be denied to work as a student.
I mean, you can work on campus, but the one that they're saying you cannot is off campus, like taking work outside campus. Like let's say working in a McDonald's or Amazon or like a store.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other thing too is they have exceptions
Yeah, there's
for you.
exception.
If you have, like, it's something you can plead. If you want to work full time, you can, but they have to give you a kind of a hardship
And the
waiver.
hardship, yeah, if you have the hardship,
Yeah.
yeah,
So there's some of these things that you need to know, just
yeah,
in case, because if they're able to give you that waiver, that means you can work outside campus, and you can
yeah.
work, and you can make more money. So, but
That's
yeah,
true.
it's you need to know some of these things. Do, 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 do. My game, what's your plan when you're done with your program? That's a good question. Will you come back to Kenya? I'm not even gonna read the the second part of the question.
It's funny because my name is also my middle name is Kemboy.
Oh, you.
So I
Wait.
don't
So
like the way the name is being used. Many people are like Kemboy, and
I'm I'm sorry now. Kimboy is it's
yeah,
one of the
it's
things. Kimboyism. Wait. So yeah. So what's your plan when you're done with your program?
yeah. So I usually say like there's a saying that says you don't have to see the entire staircase. Just take the first step.
Mm.
So eventually everything will align. And if I find that my destiny is to remain in the US, then I'll remain. If it's going back, I'll still go back. Like home is home. So I mean, I'm open-minded.
Uh, uh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, but I mean, I think one of the things I can tell you now is, as you know, you're just starting your program. If your intention is you want to stay, maybe start looking at some of those options. Like EB3 could be an option, or H1B could be an option too. So
Yeah,
really, really, sometimes it's you can start looking into some of those things if you're planning on
yeah.
staying here. Yeah. Ask our guest which is the best university for a master's in international relations.
I don't know.
Google it.
It's like asking Google. It's like, what is the
Mhm.
best? Like, I don't have a dictionary, but I usually say like research, narrow down, apply.
Yep, 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 yep. Uh, I think some of these questions, it said that, Masters of Finance is also
Yeah,
accelerated.
yeah. It's 10 months for University of Kentucky. You can knock it off and you're back to hustling, looking for the money.
Ah, okay. Finley is the guy in Hungary. Please shed some light on that guy who joined Missouri University of Science and Technology. You wanted to say last time, but you didn't, because I'm like, to join there in January, even in a brief summary. Oh, no, I think the Missouri University. Is that me? Because the guy who was going there, I think, was going to a community college there, and going to a community college in the middle of like nowhere. So that, I think the thing I was saying is, please make sure, if especially if you don't have the funding and you found a way to get your visa, uh, maybe try and apply for a school that is close, that is in a big city. That way, just in case, like if you need help, there's people around. Because if you go to those schools that are in the rural areas, and you like, you run into issues, especially as an international student, you're limited. That guy was like, applied for a school in Missouri and didn't have the funding, and that school was asking for funding. And so what he said is, he was able to get to convince the school to transfer him to a different school in Washington. And he said they transferred him to a different school in Washington. Uh, yeah. So just when you're going to apply for schools, please look for schools that are close to, like, whether it's a lot of people, or Kenyans, who, just in case, you can go and contact them. People, it's always good to be around people, especially if you're by yourself. Like Lexington is a big, that's a big school. If you need any help, you just go to, like, a Facebook group or something, and there's people in that community that if maybe you need somebody to help you with accommodation, they can be able to do that. But if you go to somewhere in the middle of nowhere, then you don't have anybody that you can reach out to help you. Community is good. As much as some people say stay away from Kenyans or your people, sometimes you need those people. You need those people. You need those people. I think someone is asking if they deny you embassy, if they deny you visa, and you go to a. No, they don't. Those are two different countries. So just because he was denied by Canada doesn't mean that when he went to the U.S. embassy, they pull Canadian info. It's
They
at the
don't,
end of. Yeah.
not unless like the reason for denial was misrepresentation. Maybe you
How
lied,
different.
and
Fraudulent, or maybe just a huge
yeah, they might
security,
blacklist you.
security, security,
Yeah, or
security
like a
problem.
security threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody said that they tried Mpower, but it required the consigner.
That's new. I think maybe this person has a lot of, what's it called? Delinquency, delinquent. I don't know. Delinquency. Like if you're servicing loans greater like 200,000 or like big loan, then
Mm,
they can tell you you're not eligible, or like you're eligible but with a cosigner, because you're like a risk at defaulting, or like you are a risk lendee. It's called lendee, client. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think I've had that once, but yeah, that has something to do with your credit history.
Yeah, I think yeah goes with the same question. Does Empower deny loans if you have bad credit history?
Yeah, they can't deny you. So they, as I said, like they ask you to fetch your credits report, and then they look at it, and then they'll email you if you've been, there's this something called conditional acceptance. So if you see like conditionally approved, then you see like like you're good, like you can be funded. But if you see, then they'll send you like a letter saying like ABCD.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Like
All
okay,
right.
for CRB, I think if you clear from CRB, then you need like some few years. I don't know how many years exactly, but I think 1 to 3 years for you to be eligible again. So you cannot just clear today and apply for the credit history will still be, yeah, reading.
Oh, the guy that said was they wanted a cosigner says he has no loans.
Yeah,
No,
no
that's
loans. Then maybe
that,
his program is not
mm,
STEM, or not get more than 2 years. So I think those are the two things. Either your program is more than 2 years, or like it's not STEM. Actually, I think it's not STEM. That could be the reason.
mm. Stacy Ngondi, are you allowed to work full time during the summer? Yes.
Yeah, okay, I haven't reached summer, but I think
Yeah.
so. It's a school break. So maybe the
Yeah.
American home, you can answer that.
Yeah, they allow you to work full time. It's full time. It's 40 hours a week. So yeah, during the summer, some people take summer off and work. So,
Yeah.
but you're required to be enrolled in the spring and the fall semesters. Uh, Kindly elaborate on OPT and STEM list for F1 students coming to the USA who don't know about it. And yeah, Rotich is just starting. So, but I think we talked about it. OPT is an optional practical training. It's after you graduate from whatever program that you're doing. Usually, other programs give you 1 year OPT. So OPT is you don't need a work visa. So OPT by itself is a work visa. As long as you get an employer and they give you the job, you'll get to work full time for that employer for a whole year. But for STEM, which is the program that Rotich is doing, they give you 3 years to work. 3 years to work. 3 years. STEM has 3 years OPT to work as much as you want. As much as you want. Do, 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 do. Yeah, someone is saying, they're proud of you. The sky's in the real. Wait, the sky isn't the limit for real. Yeah, man, I'm proud of you, bro. University of Kentucky, big school, and that's a good. It's a good degree that you have. Uh, and
Thank you.
there's so much that you can do with it. So much you can do with it. Just your resume. People see, oh, you went to the University of Kentucky. That's a big school. It's a big school, and it's really life in the US is how you want to make it. It's
Yeah.
as long as you're focused, you know what you want. It's this is the land. This is the land of opportunities. You can be anything you want to be. Anything you want to be. Anything you want to be. Alison boy, can someone invite me in the US, please? Maybe follow Rotich. Rotich wants maybe invite you later when he's done. He's gotten his his green card on something, maybe he can invite you. As we go on, maybe Rotich, you can tell people. I'm sure there's some people who have questions. They would want to follow your content because you're just starting in the US. But I know
Yeah.
we'll talk more maybe as you settle, go through your program after that, and how if you plan on following the H1B to green card route or the EB3 route.
Yeah.
uh we'll chat more. We'll chat more because I'm sure you there's you learn so much once you're in school. So if people want to follow you, where do they find you?
So I try to like limit social media as much, but because like my program is so intense, like it,
Yeah,
you remember like it's supposed
you
to
have
be
very
2 years,
good.
but I'm doing it, so it's so intense. But right now I'm in TikTok on TikTok, so my username is just there. I am underscore Rotich. So you can follow me, ask me question, if it's about, the visa, about, school application. But I've been receiving messages where somebody's like, I want to come to the US. And I'll be like, which visa? And then it comes and they're like, okay. So if you want to like really get much more information, like just do your research and then come back and say, hey, I did this, I'm here, I'm stuck here, I need help. Then it's gonna be easy. Because if I get like, I remember like this time I don't know, I got like 300 messages. By the time I finished replying, somebody was saying hi. It's like end of the week, so I say hi, and then by the time you come back to me, it's like I already forgotten it. So I have a YouTube channel, but not yet posted. Maybe I'll try to work on it in the summer break. Right now, I can't commit, but I'll just use the same username. I am underscore Rotich. But the best way or the easiest is TikTok. Just either follow me or like shoot me a message and just be specific. Like I'm looking into this school. Can you check for me? Or like just do your research and then come back and say, I want to help with the Empower, right? I help with whatever. Like not just like hi, there you go. Yeah, like you should know what you want. If you want to, like, if you're, especially people are coming to me for masters, like I expect you to like you've done your research, like you know what you want, you know the school, so it should be like very specific. But no offense if you wanna just say hi to me, and yeah, I'm open.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I always tell people because like for me, I have so many messages. For somebody to just say hi, or I want to ask you a question, it's like, okay, so now I have to respond to you so that you can ask me a question. I get straight to the point. Hi,
Yeah,
this is what I wanted, so that I know, boom, okay, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this.
that's
So
true.
trying to go through the questions. I think wait. Someone asked this. This is a good question. Do I need any money in my bank account to be given the loan by Empower? Like, do they give you? Do you need collateral? Do you need to like how will they? Do they trust
Mm,
you will pay them back? Did you provide for
yeah.
anything like a title deed, logbook, bank statement?
No. So usually when you start to fill out, they ask you if you have any other form of funding. So if you have a scholarship, then you say the amount, so that when they calculate, they say, you only need 20,000 or 30,000. If you say like you have your own funding, then you say a statement, then you put the amount. Later on they might ask you to upload it, but rarely they do. But if you don't have, like, like you don't have any other means, then you don't need any collateral. Like you just, your credit history is, they do like the background check, and then they see like if you qualify or not. So they don't have any, you know cosigner or kind of like attach something to it for you, to them to give you. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, I have a question. So what if you get to the US and you get a scholarship? Can you cancel
Um,
Empower?
so this is what happens. This money they don't give you like once, right? Like lump sum. They give you like in bits, like every semester, and they don't give you like directly. They send it to the school. So if you came here and dropped out of school, then you're not gonna get the money. That it's gonna go back. So they send tuition plus living expenses to the school. School confirms that yes, Rotich is enrolled, then deducts the fees, then sends the pocket money to your bank account. So if you get a scholarship, then you can return the money if you want.
Okay, so it's and do you, and it's so they sent it directly to the school, so
The
you
school,
cannot
yeah.
enroll
So
in that school. If you show up here and then just decide
you can't get it.
to vamoose, then you're already in the US. I know a lot of people in the way they think. Our people are very crazy in
Mm,
the way they think. I know somebody has already thought what I'm thinking, what I'm thinking. But man, thank you. No, thank you so much for coming in and enlightening us on Empower, Empower financing, but also, your journey to the US. It's, for me, I'm proud of you, and I'm excited to see, how your journey goes. Praying for the best, praying for the best. I'm always here. Reach out if you ukikwama, ukikwama, reach out.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, man. Otherwise, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Chapa nini, soma kabisa,
Yeah, assignments and homeworks.
kabisa. Ukimaliza, if you finish one masters and you're like, oh, you can finish your masters. At least you have those 3 years to work.
Yeah,
You've finished that, and
figure
you
out.
want to permanently damage your head, you can also do a permanent head damage, or there's lots of opportunity. For me, I always say that the thing is, just get your feet into the inside the US. After you
Yeah,
get here, and then you can hustle. Other ways to hustle are not as
yeah.
difficult. Not as difficult.
That's
Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much, bro.
okay.
And
I appreciate. Thank you,
yeah,
Sue.
yeah, and watu wangu maze, follow him, and yeah, follow him. Ask any questions that you may. He's fresh. One of the things I love about having an interview with like you just this is like three months away, removed from the visa interview, and so this information is still fresh,
Yeah.
still fresh. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you, bro.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
man. Aye,
See you.
aye. Shukran. Watu wangu, we the English was, I know, najua mmesuffocate na kizungu, mmesuffocate na kizungu. Poleni by the way kwa watu wa nini, watu wengine by the way wako comfortable kuongea kizungu, so yeye alikuwa comfortable kuongea kizungu, naanda siku ninia tuingie saingine jifundize. Ni poa kuongea Kiswahili, kuongea kizungu, juu hata ukienda pale embassy, at least uko na maneno, lakini iko poa. Hopefully mejinini ati saa ingine ni mzuri watu wanaongea na mapua, ndio at least mna nini, tunawa prepare juu pale hivyo, pale ukienda embassy utaenda kusema nini, unataka kuongea Kiswahili, na ukiongea Kiswahili utapewa mtafsiri. Otherwise maze, shukran sana, thank you for tuning in, and hopefully maze, hiyo content itasaidia mtu kishule. Mimi akili yangu vile tu nimesikia, kumbe Empower, badala ya kutumia anko yako, mimi si hakuna kitu, msome in between the lines, badala ya kutumia anko yako, si utumie hii Empower. Alafu wewe ukishafika, wamesema usipoingia shule hawatatuma pesa. Wasipotuma pesa hauna loan. Mwenye masikio haambiwi sikia. Lakini na hakuna kitu mimi nimesema ati mtu afanye, lakini anajua mmeshikanisha. Juu kama kutumia hii loan itafanya kesi yako ikue hivi, si afadhali uninie tu uapply. Wasikia hata hawahitaji nini, hawahitaji mtu wa kunini cosigner, unahitaji mtu wa cosigner, go through the process, wewe fanya nini, alafu apply. Kitu poa kama kitu kama loan, inakuanga more legitimate, inakaa very legitimate ukitumia loan versus kusema ati relative yako atakulipia loan. Fiti watu wangu I think hiyo ilikuwa nini, kuna dem nilikuwa nitaleta awapigia story ya wababas. Alikuja na mubabas. I don't think, sijui kama hatujakuwa na mtu hatujaingia kwa topic ya wababas, so na niko na watu wengi sana wako hapa na wababa, so nitaletea at least mmoja aongee juu ya nini yake, jani yake ya nini kukuja na mbabas. Alafu pia bado ile nini ya visa, zile visa wali issue last year, I think nitawapigia one of these days, either this week. Hii wiki niko mtaa Thanksgiving. Otherwise barikiweni sana and mkuwe na siku poa. Niachie like man, usitoke kama hujaacha like, otherwise you guys have a good time. Barikiweni sana. Fiti man, bye.